I'm Phil, and that's Sam.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel.
Coming back to Ron White. It's been a little while since we got it to some Ron, and he's a funny guy. When I told Sam what the video is on the agenda for today, because we're doing a couple of videos, I was like, this is what we're doing, and Ron White's name came up, and she was like, oh, that's the guy that's the Southern comedian, right?
Yeah, he asked which one I was the most excited for, and I said this one. So
that's right. So we've arrived. It's just a short clip here, only 5.5 minutes from Ron.
I like
know
him
he's got some longer bits out there, but this was one that you guys were saying that we should check out in our last one. I got thrown out of a bar was a recommendation. So give us more recommendations for Ron down below. We'll probably be coming back to him in the future because he has a unique style, and he's not shy either.
No.
Got thrown out of a bar. I imagine we're going to get some of that on this one.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear the story.
All right. Well, without further ado, guys, let's get into it. If you enjoy the video, hit that like button for us.
I got thrown out of a bar in New York City.
Smoking a cigarette. Don't see that much anymore.
Now, when I say I got thrown out of a bar, I don't mean somebody asked me to leave. We walked to the door together, and I said, bye, everybody, I gotta go. 6 bouncers hurled me out of a nightclub like I was a Frisbee. Those big old bouncers that go home every night, watch Roadhouse, and beat off. You know what I'm talking about? Patrick Swayze's hitting another guy.
The original Roadhouse.
For wearing a hat. I walk into a bar with a hat on. This guy real pissy goes, took off the hat! I'm like, what's the deal? He goes, I'll tell you what the deal is. Faggots in this area wear hats. We're trying to keep them out of a club. I'm like, oh, really? The only way we could tell down south is if they have their hair cut like yours. And he got all pissed. But he walked away, and I took the hat off, and like an hour later, I'd been drinking, and I forgot. You ever forget? It happened to me. I put the hat back on. The guy comes over to me. Now, I'm between 6'1" and 6'6", depending on which convenience store I'm leaving. I weigh 235 pounds. This guy comes over to me, poking me in the shoulder with 2 fingers, says, you're out of here. I'm like, I don't think so, Scooter. And I was wrong. They hurled my ass. And then they squared off with me in the parking lot, and I backed down from the fight because I don't know how many of them it would have taken to whip my ass. But I knew how many they were going to use. It's a handy little piece of information to have right there. Overkill. Well, they called the police because we broke a chair on the way out the door, and I refused to pay for it. And the cops showed up, and at that point, I had the right to remain silent, but I didn't have the ability.
Ron's style, man, just so nonchalant and conversational,
Yeah.
We're just having a conversation with Ron here, but it's only him.
I feel like, that vibe you get when you're like sitting in the living room hanging out with your friends and like somebody's telling a story and everybody's just like sitting and listening intently.
Yeah,
that's the vibe that I get from him. Like he's just like your friend telling a story.
Yeah, he's a great storyteller. And I think in terms of the story, I know I've experienced the dreaded bouncer story, of interacting with one bouncer or a couple of bouncers that just have something stuck up their ass that day.
Yeah.
I remember there was one time I was it was like a nightclub, and it was dark, and I think I only had like one drink, and I started walking towards the bathroom, and there was water and everything all over the floor. So I slipped, went to take a step, and I just literally like slipped, and I got up right away.
Spill their drinks everywhere. And
So I slipped, I got up right away, and the bouncer comes over to me. You got to leave.
You're too drunk.
Exactly.
Like, what?
And it wasn't even like it was late in the night at this point. It'd be different if it was like 2 in the morning,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you can make a pretty good judgment that somebody has had too much to drink and that's why they slipped at that point. And I was like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, I'm completely fine. Like, it's wet. Look at the floor. And he's like, no, you got to leave. You got to leave. And then I started, you know, and I just got there, you know, it's one of
Yeah.
those situations where you just arrive
You're
somewhere.
like,
and
what?
You're telling me I think it was winter too. So I'm like, you know, now I got to go outside and I got to find my friends because they're not going to let you grab your friends or anything, you know. Anyways, and ended up getting thrown out because apparently I had too much to drink because I slipped on the wet floor. So that was an instance, though. Like I said, like if you'd have just spoken to the guy,
Yeah.
you'd know.
They're
But
just on a power trip 9 out of 10 times.
I think in Ron's case here, he's openly admitted that.
I also think that happens less to females. I mean, I've been kicked out of a bar a couple times, but it was because, rightfully so, I was way too drunk. So,
well, maybe in the future, because you know we have gender equality rules now, they'll have women bouncers, and they'll be targeting all the women. They'll be like,
Maybe.
no, I want that man, so you got to get out of here.
maybe I can see that happening for sure.
To remain silent, but I didn't have the ability. The cop says, Mr. White, you are being charged with drunk in public. I was like, hi. I was drunk in a bar. They threw me into public. I don't want to be drunk in public. I want to be drunk in a goddamn bar, which is perfectly legal. Arrest them.
It's a valid point.
Well, he didn't arrest them. Instead, they call in for my arrest record. There's some good news. Satellites are linking up in outer space. Computer banks at NASA are kicking on. There's a telegraph in Fritch, Texas going beep 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 beep. This part takes a while. Shorthand. Beep. Now, I told you that story to tell you this story. When I was 17 years old, I was arrested for being drunk in public. Seemed to be a pattern. If you knew Morse code, you would already know that. And one DWI, which was a bogus charge because it turns out they were stopping every vehicle traveling down that particular sidewalk. And that's profiling, I believe. And the drunken public charge in Fritz, the arresting officer, who I had literally known all my life. You know what I mean? This guy lived 4 doors down from me in a town of less than 400 people. We've met. He takes me to jail. When we get there, he asked me if I have any aliases, and I was just being a smart ass and said, yeah, they call me Tater Salad. 17 years later in New York City, I'm handcuffed on a bench with blood coming out of my nose. This cop goes, are you Ron Tater Salad White? You caught me. You caught the tater. You can take down those roadblocks now. I call my son Tater Tot. And Poot.
I'm dead.
Could you imagine? You just throw that out there, you're hammered one day, and then that comes back 17 years later as your nickname.
Like, are you Tater Tot? Tater salad.
Yeah, hopefully his kid doesn't grow up to take the moniker of Tater Tot.
That's
the
funny.
legendary Tater Tot. So yeah, clearly I think Ron actually clearly has a history of some drunk and disorderly incidents. But I think I remembered reading you guys saying that he quit drinking and he stopped drinking, because I think one of the other ones that we did, he talked about the Dr. Phil story. Remember, he was saying that he was hammered on a boat.
Yes.
And so that's clearly he likes to party.
Yeah.
And it looked like he was having a drink on stage there. But
Maybe later on in life, he
yeah,
stopped
I
drinking.
think I read that he had said like he just couldn't do it anymore or something like that.
I
So
mean, alcohol can get you into some sticky situations.
clearly, unless you're in a bar, then you're fine.
That's so fair, though. I never thought
It
about that. If you
is.
get thrown out, how's it your fault that you're drunk in public?
Yeah, it is valid. I mean, like where you have a situation, you get thrown out of the bar, and then the bouncers call the police after throwing you out of the bar. That's kind of the dynamic, right? Where if you get a good bouncer and somebody that might be a little more professional, if you can put the two words
And
together,
mature,
bouncer and
yeah.
professional, but as somebody that obviously it's not their responsibility to do this, but if somebody is really hammered, right, you know throw them out and say, okay, get in a cab and go home.
Yeah.
Or, call somebody that's there with them, call them a cab, get them home. Right. Because as soon as they get out on the street, although it's not their responsibility because they're not in the establishment anymore, it's now a problem of, what's going on in the neighborhood. Right.
Yeah. Well,
And
you also don't really want that chaos like right outside your bar either, right?
yeah. Yeah. And so, I think that would be the best case scenario is, you throw them out of the bar, but don't just leave them in the parking lot. That's what happened here.
And let them do some chaotic things.
Yeah. Anyways, I enjoyed this one from Ron.
Yeah,
So
I thought it was good.
I'd like to check out another one. Make sure you hit the comment section
You
down
mean you want to
below.
hear another one from Tater Salad?
That's right. Yeah. So let us know if there's anything from Tater Salad that we should check out. Have a great day, guys. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for watching.